I really didn't care what people thought of me in terms of how I dress, whatnot. And I'm like, if it was up to me, I'd just, walk around in my sarong and a t-shirt like this everywhere. And my dad goes, yeah, that's completely fine. I understand it. I get it. But whether you like it or not, when you're out there, say you go for a job interview, first impressions matters. People will judge you and therefore will respond to you accordingly. If you're dressed like a bum, you'll be treated like a bum. Hey everyone, it's Herbie here for another video where I talk about health, wealth and happiness. So today I wanted to talk about the importance of teaching what we do intuitively or instinctively, right? So after a while, we get into certain habits, patterns, we cook a certain way, we chop onions a certain way, and we just get used to it. And we think, oh, I know how to do this. Surely everyone knows how to do this. That's not always the case, especially when it comes to kids. Maybe if you're running a business, your employees, your team, if you're a manager, your people who report to you. So all of those people, you think they know, but they don't know because intuitively they haven't got it. You've been doing it for so long that it's inherent within you, right? You've got it. And you think, oh, why don't they just do it like I do it? Doesn't really work like that. And I've learned this with my kids where I deliberately sit them down and go, hey, it seems like you don't know how to do this. Here's how I do it. Once you master this, you can improve upon it, right? So, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy or super complicated. I'll give you an example. I've got a son, young lad, and when he goes to the toilet to do a number one, it doesn't always make it into the bowl. Goes everywhere sometimes. And I learned this the hard way. I'll save that story for another day, but I don't want him making the same mistake as I did. So I've, obviously had to teach him, try and do your best to, lift the toilet lid up, both of them, and get it into the bowl. Once you're done, make sure you wipe around it so it's clean for your mother and sister. I don't really care, but it's nice that the toilet is clean. If you spill some, try and clean that up as well. If you got handfuls of toilet paper, don't put it down into the toilet because that's gonna clog up the toilet. Maybe put that onto the bin, and I'll get rid of I'll empty the bin every couple of days. Hopefully the toilet doesn't start smelling because of what's in the toilet, what's in the bin. But we adults take this as, of course you do this. But kids, it doesn't come instinctively to them, right? It's especially when you're young and you're thinking about other stuff and you're running around. So this is what I mean, like deliberately you have to try and teach them. There is, I have to give credit. So this is a rule that I learned from a lady by the name of Nancy Dornan, and she used to teach on stage when I used to go to seminars. This was something that she would teach the audience to make sure that this is imparted onto the business leaders as well. Yeah, so it's really important because if we don't do this, we end up getting a whole bunch of children who end up growing up and they don't know how to do sort of basic stuff that we think, oh yeah, of course you do it. You need to do your taxes. Either you do it by yourself or you hire an accountant, or you do this, you do that. You want to make a lentil soup. This is how you do it. Of course, everyone knows it. Not everyone knows it. You have to go out and deliberately teach it. And the risk here is, so there is a downside. The downside is our kids are going to think we're idiots anyway. That's just normal. That's just part of being a parent, where they're going to think, we're dumb. And you're going to have to just politely and work with them and go, I know you think you're dumb. I'm dumb. That's okay. You can think that. Just, hear me out here. Go with me on this journey. You can think I'm an idiot, but when I'm, long gone and dead, you'll thank me for it. It reminds me of this quote. I have to read it to you guys. This is so awesome. This is a Mark Twain quote. I love Mark Twain. He goes, when I was 14 years old, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. When I got to 21, I was astonished how much the old man had learned in the 7 years. So basically, as you get older, as the kids get older, they realize, man, my dad was a smart guy. And I certainly remember that. Like in my teens, I was just you get annoyed by them because they're just telling you what, basic stuff, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. And you never appreciated the wisdom that comes out of their mouth when you're a teenager. Of course, I know my situation is going to get worse as my kids grow older. But right around the time when I was about 25, I was just going, damn, my dad is a really smart guy. And, you start reflecting on that. And as you get older, you go, wow, the words of wisdom that they gave me when I was young was true. I'll give you an example of, I suppose, something that my dad taught me. I learned earlier, very, very early on, that I really didn't care what people thought of me in terms of how I dress, whatnot. And I'm like, if it was up to me, I'd just, walk around in my sarong and a t-shirt like this everywhere. And my dad goes, yeah, that's completely fine. I understand it. I get it. But whether you like it or not, when you're out there, say you go for a job interview, first impressions matters. People will judge you and therefore will respond to you accordingly. If you're dressed like a bum, you'll be treated like a bum. And I'm going, yeah, it's a fair call. I mean, I didn't really understand at the time. So now when I obviously go out, dress half decent, but when I'm at home and or going to the gym or whatever, I dress comfortably as I want to. Anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to do. So try your best. Think of all these little things that you do without even thinking about it and teach them to whoever needs to be taught. Okay. It could, like, I'll give you one other example. It might just be structuring an email. If you're a manager, if you are a leader, a team leader or a people manager, and you've got people reporting to you, I don't know if you've ever had this. Have you ever had an email it's a long paragraph and you look at it and go, Jesus, like you have to sort of sit there and try and dissect because it's just a blump of a mess. And then you can go, hey, look, this is good that you've done a brain dump here, word this nicely. But how I would do it is you basically start off with a background information or an overview. Then you go, here are the bullet points, bam, 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 bang, that I want to discuss. These are the key messages, and you can, end with a conclusion. That might be a way for someone to digest this information. And I mean, this is an example of how I structure my emails or correspondence. But just this little things that, people who aren't in the corporate world aren't familiar with this. I certainly was not. I was thankfully taught this by a manager who ended up going to a seminar, and she goes to me, hey, Opie, I learned this. And I don't know if she was trying to give me a hint. Maybe she was, and I'm glad I listened and learned, and I've sort of followed that sort of structure in that format. So shout out to Tina. Thanks for that. That's it. Okay, I'll wrap it up. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.